talk with Ba. You know, allow me to say Professor Parikh today. He'll talk with Ba. For me, she's Ba. You know, Ba is mother. I'm reminded of how the great Mahatma of this land actually called Ba to Kasturba. You know, and he says, "Tame Ba cho." So to me, she is my mother, and I'm blessed that to have another mother in my life who could transform me. Thank you so much. Against every odd of life, you made an impact.
Thank you, Raju.
At 83 today, you know, you refuse to give up.
This month I become 84.
84. Okay, let me applaud for you. This month is 84.
Yes.
Yeah. So what are you feeling?
Thankful to God for all the blessings and support I have received all my life. I'm thankful to God for all the blessings I have received all my life, small and big. Sometimes unexpected, sometimes surprised, sometimes overwhelmed. God has really been good to me.
Right. At what stage and how did you discover that you have something very big to fight for within your inside system?
I cannot say at what point of time, but even as a child, I used to argue. I'll give you one example. We have a home in Ranchi. So we were walking in the evening because it was nice and pleasant. And there was still a British family who was around after the independence. And a young girl with a nanny was walking and she was speaking in English. And some of my family members said, "Ki dekho, kitna acha English bolti hai." I instantly said, "Usko bolo Hindi bole." Because I said, "वो हिंदी नहीं बोल सकती है, तो मैं English नहीं बोल सकती, मेरे को English सिखाओ." So then we went back to Calcutta, that's where I grew up, and then they had a teacher teaching us English. Before I went to a missionary school, Loreto Day School in Calcutta, where I stayed there for 3 years. I have friends from there even now, though I was there only for 3 years. And then my father said, "We are becoming all missionarized," so he took us out of that school and took us to a very tough school called Modern High School in Calcutta. It was a Birla school. So that has been the pattern, to fight injustice and to fight statements made about anybody wrongly. And therefore it took me in 1979 to start a women managers program in IIM after 2 meetings and lot of fights with my area members. They would say, "Arey, joint kar lo." I said, "No, I want a program for women because women are not being sent to the IIM programs." So what I did was, finally after 6 hours they agreed. 2 meetings and 3 hours of each. They said, "Okay, as an experiment." I said, "As a start karne do mere ko." So I went to organization after organization to HR managers and said, "Please send your women." He said, "Who?" I said, "Women managers." "Is that a special program?" I said, "Yes." First women managers program in 1979. And I just insisted to the HR managers कि अपने women को भेजो. I had the record participants of 45 participants. IIM never had 45 participants until then for a program. And my whole campus was colorful. All women were in saris, all women were in beautiful colored dresses, and not a single absenteeism. Every single woman registered came, 45 of them. And I had called the director to open the session. Out of those 45 women, 3 became the first women directors of 3 different companies. ICICI, handloom sector, and one more sector I forgot. 3 women became women directors. They were in my program hesitating whether we should accept this role. I said, "Yes, accept this role and do it well." And that is the beginning of my emphasis and participation of women. The first book I wrote was Indian Women and Inner Dialogue, where I shared their pathos, their sacrifices, and yet the struggle to become something of their own. So that has been my pattern from beginning.
More revolutionary and the spirit of fighting.
See, I got a UN assignment and I saw wherever I went to a place called Papua New Guinea, where I did not even know the name Papua New Guinea existed and where it existed. I called up the post office, I called up the banks and I said, where is Papua New Guinea? And they said, somebody then said it is near Australia. So I went there alone. I stayed in the hotel where everybody says, do not get out of the hotel. Do not, if you want dinner, order the dinner and let the food be put outside your room and then you hear the footsteps walking away, then only open the door. That frightened me so much. But I said, no, I'm not going to be just scared. No human being is so bad that they are going to hurt somebody. So I went down to eat dinner. And I was advised not to do it. But I went down, I talked to the manager. I said, sir, I'm alone, I'm vegetarian, I'm a teacher. And I realized very quickly that if you take a book and a notepad, they know you are a teacher. Then they respect teachers very much. So I used to go down, then the manager came and the senior manager came. And of course, even at that time, I ate very little. So I ordered some salad and some French fries. They brought a kilo of French fries. I ate 4 pieces, big ones. And then several people came and said, "Itna hi khaya?" I said, "Bas, that is my food." I had eaten the salad. And they were so nice to me when I went to buy some handicrafts, and my home is full of handicrafts from there. They said, Mrs., where from? India. India poor, we are poor. Half price for you. So everything that I got for half price. And such beautiful art I got. And I have had several experiences which were a little scary, which were creating anxiety. But I discovered that if you respect the people, you get respect and you don't get bothered. See, one example which was very scary for me, I went to a hotel. No, I was in an island and I had to take a boat to go back to the mainland. And that boat took about 6 hours, which I had to go. Then somebody came and whispered in my ear, "Don't go into the boat which they are asking you to go. There are all 11 people there, all drunk." So I did not know who he was, but he was a Papua New Guinean, whispered in my ear and ran away. So those people came and said, "Madam, this boat will take 1.5 hours. I said, "No, I have some work, so I will take my usual." He said, "That will take you 6 hours. I said, "Okay, doesn't matter really. But I have to finish this work. I have come on UN work. I have to finish this work." So I did not go with them. Then the boat I went to was a Swiss gentleman with 4 wives. And 6-7 children were on the boat. It took us 6 hours. I reached the mainland at about 9 o'clock at night. His truck was waiting, his bus. He started dropping everybody. Then I was left alone with him. He said, Mrs., how many children? I said, 1 son. Too bad, have more children. I said, I will go home and have children. It was very difficult. I had realized it is no sense telling him anything about women's rights. This was not the place and he was not the person. So I had to just keep his face, give him respect and not say anything. So I said, I go home, I'll have children. So he finally dropped me at my hotel, the last person to be dropped, at 11 o'clock. When I got down into the hotel, the manager took me to a room, a 4-bedroom place, and said, "This is your room is here." I said, "Okay, thank you very much." He said, "You want anything?" I said, "No, I'm tired, I want to go to sleep." He just wouldn't leave. He said, ma'am, you want something? I said, no. Then I realized, I said, look, you sit down and I'll sit down. You tell me your story, I'll tell you my story. So he sat down and told me about his wife, about his children. I told him about India. I told him about our culture. It was 1 o'clock at night. Finally he says, ma'am, he bowed and said, thank you very much, and left. But otherwise he would not leave. I just opened all the lights of the bungalow, shut the door, locked it, put a chair under it as I had seen in movies. Can you put a chair? So I put the chair and went off to sleep. Morning when I got up for breakfast and went there were those 11 men sitting there glaring at me because I hadn't gone with them. But I said, there is no way you need to disrespect people you don't know. You don't know them, you don't know their lives, you don't know what their culture is, and I'm in a very new country, a very new society. Their cultures are different, but they are good people. There are always good people. So that is how I manage several places like this.
40 or 50 years in HR? You spent 50 years in HR or more?
50 years.
50 years,
Yes.
wow. Congratulations, first of all. 50, 5 decades.
50, yes.
Yeah, 50
Yes.
years, I remember. When you look back your journey as a professor of human resources, OB, at IIM Ahmedabad, what was that one unique experience you had which makes you remember that it is this experience which will lead me ahead?
See, everybody says women are discriminated. IIM, I did not experience that. In fact, at one point of time, one male professor did not get a promotion and I did.
Wow.
So I said, I think the whole stereotypes need to be removed. And said, if you work hard and if you prove yourself, it doesn't matter whether you're a male or a female. In a profession, in an institution, the directors are chosen to be fair, and they were fair to me.
Wow.
And I wanted to do a program which they sponsored me, which is my now strength.
Wow.
So I am always obligated to IIM for giving me space to grow, and some of my colleagues to support me in some of the difficult times.
Wow. As you have fought very bravely cancer, what was that one thing that you did to say, stop, no more for me, and I am live and kicking, I am full of energy and agility?
I said, God has given me this disease at a time when I have no work. I am retired. If I had gotten this disease 10 years ago, I was on the board of 7 companies, 3 academic universities, and full form in my consulting work with organizations. I said, if God had given me cancer at that time, I would have lost all the things which I have done. So God has given me a time where He tells me I should rest and I should accept this at a time when I have the time. I had no work, I was, and there were people, one person from IIM who had gone through years of liver transplant and the terrible times. He came and said, Indira, I'll tell you my story, so just listen to me. So he and his wife came and said, he has gone through liver transplant. And I knew that when I was in IIM that he was going through bad times. He said, in between I had a paralytic attack, in between I had a stroke, in between I had 3-4 illnesses, which I surpassed because I listened to the doctors. So he said, trust your doctors, have faith in your doctors, and listen to your doctors and do what they say. And I have followed that to a last full dot and a crossing of the T. And I have managed it well. I've got good doctors. It's been a 10-month long journey. And yesterday was the first time I had gone to my office after 10 months. And then that was the time Raju called. So I said, good omen, very good omen. Raju has been, I know him for more than 20 years now. And he has given me so much awards and so much love and affection and so much respect that I'm really grateful to him.
Thank you.
He's always said, you do this, and he's put me on the stage and said, speak. And I have been able to speak. So he has a trust in me and faith in me, and I have had,
Thank you.
and being adopted me as his mother, I bless him all the time.
Thank you. Couldn't be more for me than this. Ladies and gentlemen, in conversation with Professor Dr. Indira Parekh, ex-Dean Ahmedabad, fighter, somebody who's spirited, not to give up, somebody who believes that life is beautiful and must be worth living, and is exemplary in every which ways. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You don't have to get up. I'll take the mic.